Now we're going to be looking at how do we name organic compounds, and the reason why is, first of all, we need to know how we can name them, and also the more you actually study how we name organic compounds, the more comfortable you become in dealing with organic compounds. Earlier we saw the structure of organic compounds on some basic structures. We need to also be able to know how we name these guys. Now, and through the name of an organic compound tells us a lot about the organic compound. So either you can draw an organic compound or you can name an organic compound. But the name should tell us everything we want to know about the organic compound. Now, you might be like, okay, fine. So it can't be Bill. It can't be, hey, let's call this compound glycine, and let's call that compound alanine, and let's call that compound glucose. I mean, you have to literally learn the structures for those names. So we have a systematic name for these organic molecules. We have to come so that we don't have to learn each and every name, because there are millions of organic molecules. But, you know, for example, one of the most common acids that we find in vinegar is this fellow, CH3COOH. Its common street name is acetic acid, but it's what we call the IUPAC name, or the systematic name, is ethanoic acid. And the reason I'm naming this first is because we all know this from last year. And the fact that it's enoic acid tells you its functional group. You already knew that part from last year, right? And the eth tells me there are 2 carbons. While by looking at the name like acetic acid, I could not tell what's in it, right? And so some very popular compounds do have common names, but not every compound is a common name, and learning common names is going to be difficult, you know, like so ethanoic acid being an example. I mean, you can learn the street name, but this tells me much more about the structure. Similarly, when I mentioned, those who take biology might recognize the names I mentioned earlier, like alanine, glycine, and all that stuff. Those are amino acids or amino acids, but we'll talk about that later, not this year. But the point is, there's a purpose for this naming convention. And the purpose is the name can tell us a lot about the organic molecule. For example, and then you'll learn how to name them. For example, instead of just calling ethanoic acid, if I had written this, what if I had told you this, that the name is 2-chloroethanoic acid. Now, when you see a name like that, you say, okay, I definitely know it's an acid, COOH functional group, Fg. I know it's eth, that means there are 2 carbons. And now we have something else before it, right? It says 2-chloro, which you will realize right now, and if you don't know it, I will explain it to you, don't worry. But I'm just giving the final thing, that here, this tells you there's a chlorine, and the fact that this is the position of the chlorine relative to Fg. What is Fg? Fg stands for functional group. So all names are systematic, and they give you some information. For example, if you see this versus somebody saying, hey, what if I give you 2,2-dichloroethanoic acid? Now, like, Bilal, you've drawn ethanoic acid on top. Could you draw these 2 also? Well, the first one, the 2-chloroethanoic acid, looks like this. It's ethanoic acid, and there is 1 chlorine on this particular carbon. It's actually the second carbon on the molecule. Obviously, the first one gets the functional group. Now, obviously, these rules you'll learn. Don't worry. You will learn these. I will tell you what they are. But how does this differ? You can probably guess. What does di mean for chloro? And then there are 2 numbers. It tells me there are 2 chlorines on carbon number 2. Each of them being on carbon number 2. So what you start realizing is that the name will not just tell you the functional group. It will tell you the number of carbon atoms. It also tells you the additional elements or compounds, additional atoms that can be bonded to it. Like 2-chloro is called dichloro. 1-chloro can be called monochloro, but you know, why waste a letter when we know chloro is monochloro? Now, There's also the "and" part, like, eth was 2 carbons. This is functional group. But even the "and" tells me that all the carbon-carbon bonds are single, because there are some functional groups where you can also have an alkene and an acid, and we'll talk about those. So basically we'll go through all of this. Now the reason why we're doing all of this is not just so that you can learn how to name them, which is important, but also you get comfortable drawing, naming, and mixing and matching the whole idea. So this is the basic idea. You will eventually be able to figure out, hey, I give you a name, like let's say I tell you that I have 2-methyl 3-chloro ethane, no, ethane, what am I saying, ethane, butane 1-ol. Now again, this is just an example, but the fact is you will be able to draw this fellow out by looking at the name by the end of this. Now generally, just like in postal address, the last part is the most important, like country and postal code, then the state or province, then the city, and then the streets and all that stuff. Similar here, this is the most important thing. It's called the functional group, FG, functional group. The 1 is the position of the functional group. And then you say, okay, so I'll move this down to dissect this. Okay, then the "and" part tells me all carbon-carbon bonds are saturated. Now somebody might say, well, what is saturated? I'm sure you did it last year. Saturated means all carbon-carbon bonds are single. And then you have 3-chloro. So then you have 1 chlorine at position 3, and you have a methyl group at position 2. And all the positions are relative to the position of the functional group. So this fellow would be, it's a 4, I forgot this, but means 4 carbons. So I have a 4-carbon compound where the purple FG is, I've drawn it right here, it's on the first one. Now I can put the first one on the right or the left, wherever I choose to desire. So FG and position number 1. Then it's all the bonds are single and there are 4 carbons. And if this particular carbon is position number 1, this would be called 2, this will be called 3, this is called 4. And so chlorine would be on position 3. So you put chlorine on position 3 and methyl on position number 2. So you put a CH3 right there. And every other bond is what? Hydrogen, 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 hydrogen.
Quick pause. If you're finding value in this explanation, there's so much more to discover at Alt Academy, where we break down every A-level concept with the same clarity. Now back to the video lesson.
So the fellow I've named on top is this fellow. It's a 4-carbon, and you can make the skeletal also, because that's what we did in the last session, right? So we had 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this fellow has an OH group. So the OH is like this. And this is carbon number 1. And this one I'm pointing to is carbon number 2. And that has a methyl group, which is drawn as just one stick. That's it. One C with 3 H's. And the Cl is on carbon number 3. And that is your Cl. And you might wonder, carbon number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, do you understand why drawing the skeletal is so much better? Because it's so small compared to the whole long name of this. This is the most efficient way to draw this. And that's what we're doing this naming for. It is to be able to recognize the name and draw this out, or you use the diagram to name something. Okay? Okay, so sometimes you're going to have something tricky also. Now, you can have something that I'm just drawing out right now is carbon, carbon, carbon. Okay, I'll change that. I'll just make first the carbon chain, and I will make the hydrogens. These are all hydrogens, hydrogens. And I'll show you that I have one functional group like this and one like that, and the rest of them are H's. Now you see this molecule. Now this molecule has in fact two functional groups, and the functional groups are, so what can I tell about this? First of all, this is one functional group and a second functional group. So this molecule has right now two functional groups. Which ones? One is a carboxylic acid and one is an alcohol. And what else do I know? Well, this has 4 carbons, right? That's the next thing you know. All carbon-carbon bonds are single. That's important. And you know what? I'll change one more thing here. Here, I'll add a branch. Let's add CH3 right there. So you're gonna have it has a what we call a methyl branch. And so the name needs to reflect all of this information. That's the purpose of a name. So this fellow is, and you might say, well, how do I name? So when you have two functional groups, the one that's more important, and I'll tell you right now, you will learn all of them. The more important one becomes the primary functional group. Okay, it is known as the principal functional group. So the principal functional group, the term is principal. I can't even spell principal. Thank God I don't know how to spell principal functional group. And that is a carboxylic acid. So the principal functional group says it's acid, right? Oic acid. And how many carbons there are? 4. So it's butane, but. And all the bonds are single, so it's butane. So so I'll actually change different colors. So all the bonds are single, so that's an an. And how many carbon atoms? 4. So here you got but and oic acid. This is all, by the way, one word. There is no space. You might not be able to use this in Scrabble. You might be able to. But butanoic is one word. It has 3 different parts of information. The oic acid is the principal functional group. All the carbon-carbon bonds are single is what is the an for. The fact that there are 4 carbons is the but. And the methyl functional group is written as methyl. But it has to be given a position. But now I missed something else out. There are two branches. There are 2 add-ons. So this is considered an add-on or a branch. And the second functional group is also considered an add-on or a branch. And when alcohol is an add-on or branch, it's called hydroxy. And obviously, I'll tell you all this again. Okay. Now, the positioning will always be determined by the principal functional group. So the carbon that has the principal functional group becomes carbon number 1, and you just take them to the other side. So I realize that methyl is on position number 3 and the hydroxy is on position number 2. So there's an order in which we write this, but I'll tell you that later in a minute. But this is the end result of what we learned today. That you'll be able to write the fact that this has 2 functional groups. It has 4 carbons. The carbon-carbon chain is single, and it's an acid as the primary functional group, and the add-ons are hydroxy and methyl. So the methyl is on position number 3, and the hydroxy is on position number 2. And a few things to note, that between a letter and a number there's always a dash. So you see here, that's a dash between the Y and the E3. 2 dash hydroxy dash 3 dash methyl butanoic acid, and there is hardly any space right here also. So right there. And that's the big name for this fellow. Okay. Now, I will tell you everything. Don't worry. You will be able to figure out which is the principal functional group by me giving you an ordered list. You will also be able to figure out then how do I name the functional groups. What are the different branches I can have. Now, you can get a list, and a list is actually a lot of them. and learning them all in one go is difficult. So we scaffold it. We do them step by step. So this is not me teaching you. This is me making you aware. Okay, this is the end result. This is how much you have to comprehend, that you need to have the carbon chain. You will look for all the type of bonds and the number of in the carbon chain. You will look for all the add-ons and the principal functional group, and all of them become part of the name. And these things have a category. So all the add-ons, by the way, these add-ons that I'm underlining right now, these are called prefixes. That's the prefix of the name. Okay. Then the but part is referred to as the stem. How long is the stem? And the rest is suffix. So butanoic acid is the suffix. And these are terms in English. Suffix is what's the last part of the word. Prefix is what's the first part of the word. Stem is what connects it here. And the an part is known as the stem's suffix. So how big the stem is, and then how is it bonded. So, and you'll see sometimes you have double bonds and they don't end in an, they end in en. Butanoic acid. We'll see those too. So but is the stem, and butan, an is stem suffix, and these will all have purposes. The suffix of the name, the end of the name, is the principal functional group. The stem suffix is the carbon-carbon bond. So the stem suffix tells me the carbon-carbon bond. The stem tells me the number of carbon atoms. And the prefix tells me all the add-ons or branches. Also more technically known as substituent groups. Okay, substituent groups. And that's what we are going to be attacking. So now, first you introduced to this, now you will be able to name all of these. There is a system behind it, S. So you'll have to realize what are the functional groups important. So we'll give you a list of the functional groups. You already know them from last year. You know some of them. You know alcohols, and you carboxylic acids, and you know esters. These are the three functional groups you definitely know. If you take biology, you might have heard of amino acids also. That's a functional group. You might have heard of amides. That's a functional group, but we'll talk about that next year, not right now. And then you have also done alkanes and alkenes. So alkenes is technically a functional group, but it's also the stem suffix. So you can have butane, butene, and then you have all these add-ons. Now these add-ons can be chlorine, bromine, iodine, could be alkyl groups, which are other carbon groups that are smaller than the main chain, and all of that stuff. And then you can also have other functional groups which are not the primary functional group, and they also adopt their names in the prefix part. Okay, but next, now I'll give you all the rules to start naming these guys. Hey there, if you found this A-level chemistry lesson helpful, why don't you head over to our website altacademy.org, where you can sign up for the full A-level chemistry course. In addition to chemistry, you can sign up for physics, biology, math, or 4 other A-level subjects. Thousands of students have already taken the leap. What are you waiting for?